What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 23 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here with my two co-hosts for this episode from the Inside of the Mind of the Blerd podcast and the OSA&A podcast. I got my boys Abe and Steve on this episode with me. Abe, Steve, thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, man.
What's good? What's good?
Feels good. I look forward to this every week now.
Oh, of course, of course. It's a great time when we can get together and just talk about Loki and other comic related news and stuff in showbiz that we nerd about. So thank you for having us once again.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a really fun episode, just like the last two episodes. So first thing, we got a lot of stuff going on in this episode. We're doing the announcement for the Static Shock #1 giveaway. We have some news topics for you guys, and then we're going to do a deep dive of Loki episode 3. So I'm very, very excited for these three segments that we have here. So Abe, I'm actually going to toss it to you, and I want you to give the winner of the giveaway.
So first of all, thank you guys for all those who participated. Thank you guys for all those who retweeted and shared our tweets on Twitter and Instagram. We really appreciate the support. And as a result, we do have a winner. The winner of our giveaway is actually Jaredel on Twitter, also known as JD Banks. She tweeted, "I love Virgil from the original Static Shock animation in the late 90s. I'm still a big fan of Nubia, aka Black Wonder Woman. I hope that I can win a cosplay contest with my Nubia costume. Fingers crossed. Hashtag Omo Naija, hashtag C4SVillains. Appreciate you. I'm going to contact you after the show just to get your mailing address and for you to choose which one of your 3 copies of Static that you would like to pick as your winner. So again, thank you again. This is our first giveaway. Happy that it was successful. Happy that we have participants. Looking forward to future giveaways on C4SVillains, on It Mob, on Osa and Abe, on my Twitch, and all that jazz. Because there's a lot that I'm planning just all over the different brands that I'm involved with. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you again, and congratulations to Jerry.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations for sure. Thank you to everyone that followed us on Twitter, followed Abe on Twitch, followed the channel on YouTube. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And like we've talked about before, this is just the first of many giveaways. Abe and I are going to do a horror show. I'm going to do a couple episodes where we're going to give away a Conjuring comic. That's going to be pretty dope. I would actually like to give away a Blu-ray of some kind, but Abe and I can talk about that behind the scenes. But we got a lot of stuff coming in store for you guys in the next coming months, so make sure you guys are following us on Twitter to stay tuned. So first piece of news that I wanted to talk about was the new images that David F. Sandberg released showing us the new costumes for Shazam. So when I saw these costumes, I was like, they look way better than the costumes from the first film. I am not the biggest fan of the first film. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just I've never been a big Billy Batson fan. I've never been a big Shazam fan. So I just didn't really care about the movie. And one of the things that really took me out of the film was the fact that Zachary Levi looked like he was wearing like a blow-up suit. It looks like he went to a gas station and someone literally just pumped his suit with compressed air. He looked fucking ridiculous. But I'm gonna pull the picture up again so everyone in stream can see it. These costumes look really, really cool. I love the colors, the tone, and they're a lot more fitting. I really, really like the boots. The boots really stand out to me. But yeah, these suits look incredible, and I want to get like your thoughts on this. So Steve, what do you think of the new suits?
Yeah, they look way better than that first one, because that first suit, I just always imagine. I don't know if you guys remember the episode of SpongeBob with the anchor arms. That's what I was thinking about. I was all like, and then it's like it seemed like all loose around the neck kind of area. It looks like it just didn't look good, and I'm like, it's a whole movie studio that's making this. They have to have better costume design in this. So this looks really good. Like, it looks real good. And then they actually look like they worked out. They don't look like that, like how you said, like a Halloween costume where they're in the muscle suit.
Yeah, I really thought they looked ridiculous in that first movie. But Abe, what's your thoughts on the new costumes?
I mean, I agree with y'all. The costumes look better. I don't know why the costumes didn't look like this in the first place. I mean, Warner Brothers, this is not their first time doing costume design. Like, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish in Shazam 1. Unfortunately, that still does not get me excited for Shazam 2. As similar to you, I did not thoroughly enjoy Shazam 1 for different reasons. I do like the character. It's just the storytelling was kind of it felt like they forced the comedy at some points, which, mind you, y'all know how I feel about Thor and feel about comedies. I came into Shazam expecting a comedy, given that it's about the character Billy Batson. I'm not expecting a serious film when it comes to a little boy who could just turn into a freaking adult male superhero. Yeah. But even then, the dialogue, the lines were kind of corny. The costumes made it even worse. The villain, the way we dealt with the villain, it just could have been done better in my opinion. But I'll still watch Shazam 2, as I will, because I support all kind of comic book material. For the most part, I'm a nerd. Come on, I'm a Blerd at the end of the show. But I'm glad that at least fixed the costume. That's great job, Shazam. Great job.
Yeah. And the thing is, David F. Sandberg is a great director. Like, he's directed a few good horror movies and a few other really good things. So it's just like to see Shazam just be like this very like, I don't want to say, because it's not generic. I don't want to call it generic, but it's just kind of like cookie cutter superhero origin, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of just goes through the motions just to say, well, we did the thing. Shazam 1 is now done, and now we can move on to Shazam 2 and Black Adam and all of these different things. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't do very much to stand out. The only thing I really know about Shazam is from watching Young Justice, actually. So that's pretty much all my knowledge of Shazam. So when I watched the movie, I just wasn't really into it. I just was watching it. It was just like another movie for me.
Yeah, that's ended up what it felt like. Like, it didn't really do much. And I guess this is partially why we're spoiled by the MCU, is that every film kind of connects to each other. And at the time, DC was trying to make their DCEU, and so we're looking for the connections, and it was just so poor. But, you know, at the end of the day, now the connections don't matter. So Warner Brothers like, hey, none of this counts.
Yeah, they're just gonna
none of this counts. So,
they need to do the new 52. That's what they need to do.
That'd be special. That'd be special.
Yeah, and they don't have to do everything exactly the way the new 52 does, right? But I mean, you could at least like take that route, like we talked about in the last episode. Just take the Flash movie and just do Flashpoint, and then just erase everything else, retcon whatever you want, start fresh, right? Like the new 52. I feel like that would be the smartest thing they could do.
Once again, and this is why everybody's here today. This is another reason why Loki is so dope, because Loki's doing what the DCEU should be doing with Flashpoint. Loki is serving that role really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Like, it's crazy. And again, we talked about this like before, like the CW was able to pull it off, right? Like, they didn't do Flashpoint, but they got enough of it done to where it's like, this is still cool.
Yeah.
Because all of the changes that were made, like, spoilers, but one of the members of Team Flash in the original timeline, his brother was alive. After the events of Flashpoint, his brother ended up like being dead. So it's like it's these kinds of changes where it's like someone else's kid ends up being like a different gender. It's like some people didn't end up having kids. So it's like they did a really good job of showing like the repercussions of Flashpoint, and I feel like they need to do something like that in the movies, but we'll see. Yeah. Next up in the news, wanted to talk about the official announcement of Transformers Rise of the Beast. Now, I was really, really excited for this. I grew up watching Transformers. I grew up watching Beast Wars. That was like one of my first like exposures to the Transformers franchise. So I'm really, really excited for this. I want to see the Maximals. I want to see the Predacons. I want to see the Terracons. So it's like, this is going to be sick. Like, we're finally away from the Michael Bay era of Transformers movies. Bumblebee I thought was good, but Bumblebee came out too close to the last night, and people weren't sure yet, right? Like, they thought it would just be another fucking Michael Bay Transformers movie, and they didn't go out to see it, even though it made enough money, but not enough people went out to see it. But this, I think people are going to show up. Hey, what do you think?
I'm excited. All right, look, I know Michael Bay Transformers get a lot of flack, but I'm a big fan of Transformers just overall. I will watch almost anything that's Transformers related because that's how much I love them. I love them so much. And ironically, it wasn't until possibly last night that I started diving more into Beast Wars and whatnot because I was like, all right, so that's clearly the next direction we're going to get. Because throughout the Transformers storyline, we thought we were going to get Unicron. We thought we were going to finally get that, but that could still be in the future. Who knows? But giving us Beast Wars first, I thought was wise to really expand that. Look, it's just not Autobots and Decepticons. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I have to go pick up some comic issues. I see that it's currently being pushed, so let me hop on that now before prices go up. You feel me? But I'm excited for Transformers Rise for sure.
Yeah, so I was really big into Beast Wars as a kid as well. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that storyline because in Beast Wars, they're the descendants of them or whatever, Optimus Prime and everything like that. Right. So, but they've already confirmed that Optimus Prime and Bumblebee are going to be in this movie. So I'm wondering how they're going to do this as far as like the storyline. But I mean, for this franchise, the way Michael Bay did it, any storyline is going to be better than what we've gotten. So
I think it'll be easy for them in terms of they'll just be like they have. I mean, we've always teased, even with Michael Bay, he's always teased that there have been predecessors before them. So we can imagine that there's some hidden away that have yet to be found. And that's one way you could chance upon them is an excavation during an archaeological dig.
But the Beast Wars are their younger counterparts. Like, so that's why I'm trying to figure.
We'll reverse time,
Yeah.
Time
I mean, they don't have
linear.
to follow the lore, right? So it's like it would make more sense if they ended up being the predecessors instead of the successors. So,
which I feel is what they'll do. I feel like they'll reverse it and make the Beast more of the predecessors to the current day Autobots and Decepticons that we get because it just flows better in terms of like dinosaurs predated all of us anyway. Right. So why not?
Yeah. And I'm wondering how they're going to do the size. I'm really excited about this because like Optimus Prime is huge.
Yeah.
Where the Beast Wars characters are more so like their animal size. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that size wise. But I'm really excited because I really, really enjoy Beast Wars a lot. I didn't know much about Transformers at all until I started watching Beast Wars. And then when I used to talk to my cousin about it, and he used to always be like, yeah, it's Transformers. You never heard of Transformers? And I was like, no. He's like, they're cars. And I was like, no, they're animals. And so he's all like, no. And he had to actually put me on that as a kid, that this was like a part 2 or a sequel to what's already been going on. So I actually didn't have any idea. So my only thing I knew at the time was Beast Wars. So I'm really excited for Beast Wars.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I didn't even know they made a Beast Machines sequel series to Beast Wars. I didn't even know that, so I need to check that out. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi. Like Tubi's a free streaming service. Like it has a bunch of like the Transformers like animated series on there. Transformers Prime. Did you guys see that? It was on Netflix for a really long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know the Beast Machines that you're talking about came on like Fox. And
Yeah.
on that one, it was well, I guess I don't want to spoil anything for you because you know, like you saw how Beast Wars ended, how they escaped from the planet and stuff like that. Okay, so the first episode, it'll be a spoiler if I told you who makes it and who doesn't and stuff like that. But it's like it's a smaller cast on Beast Machines than it is on Beast Wars.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see, much like you, Steve, like I'm curious to see like what the size they're gonna go for, because I don't feel like they'll be very menacing if they're the size of their actual like animal counterparts. So they have to be like somewhere in the middle to where that they're menacing to like the general public to make it interesting. You know, so it'll be very interesting. How will you make like Cheetar, right? Like how are you gonna do that? Like that's gonna be very interesting to like have this like giant cheetah that transforms into a fucking transformer. So
Yeah,
so that's the kind of stuff I'm worried about.
I'm wondering how many are they going to put in there because they're obviously going to link up with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee already being there. So I would think that would mean that we're not going to get the full cast of Beast Wars
Probably
characters
not.
either. We'll probably only get like 4 or 5, maybe, if that.
I am curious as to what's if are we keeping all of Transformers lore that we've gotten so far, or are we getting a bit of a retcon?
I think it was a soft reboot with the Bumblebee, right?
Right.
Because it's like it's set in the 80s.
Because like it still didn't contradict too much of what we got with Michael Bay, so I'm just like, oh, if it's all the same universe, hey, I ain't gonna complain. Like I said, I enjoyed the Michael Bay films as well, and we all love explosions, and the Transformers look great. My only bone that I have with the entire series is what they did to Ironhide. Ironhide did not need to be taken out. That was my favorite Transformer. So Michael Bay, that's the only thing I have against you right now. But otherwise, thank you.
See, I don't think Michael Bay's funny. So none of the humor works for me in those movies. The fact that Michael Bay thought that it would be funny to put balls on a transformer, that's fucking stupid to me. And then have an actor literally deliver the line, "I'm directly beneath enemy scrotum." Like what? And then like how he overly sexualizes like teenage girls. It's like it's not necessary. Like it's these types of things in his movies.
Shots.
Yeah.
For what, dude? For what?
A lot of slow
like
shots.
I care about what Megan Fox is doing.
Like I honestly did it. But I did love the designs of a good number of the Transformers of the Autobots.
Oh hell yeah, Megatron, bro! Yeah. What?
Yeah, Megatron was dope. Starscream was dope too.
Starscream was very dope.
Hey, using that Linkin Park song while I mean, there was some jazz. There was some really dope moments. There was moments where I actually cried. I was like, damn, they took on that Optimus. And there was times where I got hyped in the movie theater, like, hey, we about to whoop some ass tonight. What's good? One of
my favorite moments from the Transformers movies, and it's not even like a movie that I like. It's in Revenge of the Fallen, where Optimus rips out the spark of the Fallen. It's the score, the dialogue. I rise, you fall. I was like, oh God, Peter.
So
Cullen.
I gotta, yeah, yo, Michael Bay, you had gems in that joke. There was some stuff that overall people don't like, but you still had some memorable moments, and I appreciate those memorable moments.
Yeah, and you get some of the greatest speeches from Optimus Prime. I don't think you get speeches like that.
Dialogue was ideal.
Yeah, so I will say that, and like I said, I enjoyed the first Transformers movies, but I didn't enjoy the second and the Dark Side of the Moon. And then I didn't like the Mark Wahlberg joint either.
That's the worst one. Yeah. The Last Night is the worst one by far.
Yeah, I didn't like any of it.
Was that the one with Transformium?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It was bad.
They tried to do Galvatron.
Yeah, Bumblebee was decent though. I enjoyed Bumblebee, but it was just like everything else had left such a bad taste in people's mouth that Bumblebee didn't get the love that it deserved or whatever. But I like that it was set in the kind of like the 80s and it gave that older thing. So I'm guessing they're trying to make it like a prequel is what they were going to try to do or whatever. But for this Beast Wars movie, they're going to do, if that's going to go into that 80s style or whatever, or the 90s, it's still going to technically be a prequel to the new Transformers that's coming out. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that and everything like that. But it's not bad. I'm hoping it's going to be good.
Yeah, me too. But being honest, I will temper my expectations. Like, the only Transformers movie that I like is the first one.
Yeah, that first
I,
one.
I think I think Revenge of the Fallen is not a good movie at all. It has great moments, great singular moments, but that's not enough for me to watch a 2.5 hour movie, right? Same thing with Dark of the Moon. Just the premise of Dark of the Moon, with the fact that, yeah, the reason why we went to the moon in the first place is because we discovered that a ship landed on the moon and we needed to discover it before anyone else. So that twist on like actual reality, that was dope as fuck, right?
Yeah.
The fact that like this very important part from that ship was kept at Chernobyl, which is what caused the plant to overload, which caused the whole thing. These twists on history, it's what's cool, right? Sentinel Prime and his goal to rebuild Cybertron on Earth, right? The premise all sounds great, but once you get into the actual movie, all you get is Rosie Huntington Whiteley in the shortest dress possible, cameras like up her dress while she's getting out of cars.
And then they killed Ironhide.
And then they killed Ironhide. Like,
I hated that scene where King John is in the bathroom
deep
stall
wang, deep wang.
Yeah, and then he finally, when the Decepticon busts through the bathroom, he's all doing this little thing with, and like, come on. I'm like, oh, why did you do this? It just was cheesy. So I did like the introduction to like the kind of like the motorcycles or whatever. I thought that was cool, but for the most part, I did not like the Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. Hey, but we won't get in another Battle of Chicago again. That Battle of Chicago was fire.
It was pretty.
This is why Tyrese, like, again, Tyrese, what you're going through in your personal life right now, you're going out low-key sad. But I appreciate you and Josh Duhamel in the Transformers series, the franchise. I mean, Josh Duhamel, I've always been a fan of since Las Vegas. And then he's married to Fergie, who I used to have a crush on back in the day when Black Eyed Peas was fun to watch. Tyrese, you were in this and the Fast and Furious franchise at the same time, and I was just so happy for you, so supportive. You made one of my favorite songs, Sweet Lady. Unfortunately, everybody that I named is going outside in some way. Josh Duhamel got back to the superhero game, and then they axed Jupiter's Legacy. Maybe we'll see him again in another Miller project, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, but I would actually kind of like to do a Transformers episode. I think that would be pretty fun.
Hey, yo, when we were talking about it, I was like, you know what, I might just go start from the beginning and go through it all again. So
I'm down. Yeah, I'm down. We definitely would have to talk about Beast Wars.
Oh yeah. So next up on the news, because I want to keep it going so that we can get to Loki. But next up on the news, this one is a quick one. So Zack Snyder came out on Twitter, and on I think it's Vero. It's called. It's a social media app, Vero. He came out and announced that the 4K Blu-ray for Zack Snyder's Justice League will be released on September 7th. I am beyond excited about this. Zack Snyder's Justice League is an absolute fucking masterpiece. It is easily the best movie in the DCEU. I think it is right up there with The Dark Knight, right up there with Man of Steel. Easily one of the best movies DC has ever made. Abe, Steve, like, are you guys excited? Like,
I don't collect Blu-rays, so this news doesn't move me, but I'm happy. I'm happy to hear people stand Justice League, Zack Snyder's cut, especially because y'all, if for anybody that knows me, two of my favorite DC characters are in this one film, and that is both Superman and Darkseid. Usually when I give my gradings, I always introduce myself as son of Darkseid. All hail Darkseid. I'm from Apocalypse. I am pleased. This is probably the best. It's definitely the best live action version of Darkseid we've ever gotten. I love the hell out of Smallville. They hold my man Darkseid. And I'm excited. So I wish them all success. I hope that sales go up high. But I've never been the type to collect Blu-rays. It's just everything is purely digital for me. So I don't normally have physical copies of movies that I enjoy.
Yeah, for me, go ahead, Steve.
I was about to say, I'm hoping it's gonna do really well, just because it's like Zack Snyder sticking it to them, like, yeah, you see, my shit is doing good. Like that. I want him to keep being successful.
I enjoy the pettiness, I
Yeah.
really enjoy the pettiness. I mean, but the whole we can't have Batman going down on Catwoman, and then he was like, it's canon. I was like, oh, okay. Look at you throwing shots at your former bosses. All right, I'll rock with you. I'll continue to rock with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then, like, of course, when that comes out on Blu-ray, we get all the behind-the-scenes stuff. That's probably going to be extra, and that's the whole point of getting the Blu-rays now, is for the behind-the-scenes and the extra footage, because everything now is on a streaming service and you can find it. So it's gotten to a point where you don't need to buy. Yeah. But it's that extra that you get, those extra footages, behind the scenes and cut scenes and all that stuff that they add into those features of Blu-ray and DVD. So that would be what I would be excited about.
Yeah, I'm a collector. Like, I have 2 shelves full of Blu-rays. Like, I love Blu-rays, love collecting steelbooks. And, like, I have a home theater system. I have a pretty good one. So for me, like, it's never going to get as good as the disc. Like, streaming is fine, but it's never going to be as good as the disc for me. So it's like, if I really like the movie, I'm instantly buying it on Blu-ray so that I can watch it. And then the Blu-ray comes with a digital code too. So it's like, I don't ever have to worry about it like dropping off of streaming, because I can either watch it digitally or I have the physical disc. But really, really excited about this Blu-ray release. I will be buying it day one. Cannot wait for this. Mercenary wants to know if we heard about the Smallville animated series that they announced. So I actually did hear about this. Michael Rosenbaum and why am I blanking on his name right
Tom
now?
Welling?
And Tom Welling are working on an animated series for Smallville.
I didn't know about
Michael Rosenbaum is my favorite Lex too.
Yeah?
Let's go. I'm hyped.
I've never seen Smallville, so yeah, bro. Never seen Smallville.
First of all, Smallville, all seasons are on Hulu. All right, I would say it's really dope from like season 1 to like season 4 or 5. By season 10, we don't discuss the final season. Regardless, it is honestly one of the better. It was just, I always said it. It's what Gotham wanted to be, in terms of providing that in between years leading up to when they fully take on the mantle and assume their title of Superman, or in the case of Gotham, Batman. Done a really good job of really fleshing out the relationship between Lex and Clark. I mean, in this version, Clark's origin story is responsible to kind of like why Lex looks like Lex, but then they kind of grew up together. Although Lex is significantly older. I think Lex is in college by the time we start off with Clark in high school, right? And just the bond between the two, you see that kind of brotherly bond that eventually breaks away. But how they developed it made sense. It made sense why Lex and Clark hate each other. I enjoyed it, like saying that they went from best friends to basically enemies. You see the growth of this trust, and it also did a great job of looking at who Lex is. Like, we even have a President Lex sequence that's in one of the seasons. It looked really dope, and just seeing that, Lex actually, tried his best to be good, but at the end of the day, Lex is Lex. He's a manipulator. He's always a schemer. He never really trusts anybody, and we see his descent into the Lex that we all know and love today. And so I was a big fan of Smallville. There were some qualms, of course. They couldn't bring in Bruce Wayne, so they gave us Adam Knight, which wasn't Bruce Wayne and had relation to the Batman storyline. But we got Cyborg, we got Oliver Queen, we had Impulse. It was really cute. It was really fun, and I enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite shows ever. I've rewatched it a couple of times. And you've never seen it? Oh yeah, I'm gonna need you to watch Smallville.
Me neither. I've never seen it either.
All right, it's on Hulu.
Okay.
It's on Hulu.
It's
Definitely.
Y'all
just
give
the
me
commitment, right? I have so many things I'm trying to like
that's true.
read and
Yeah,
watch. That's the only reason why I haven't seen it. There's so many things.
so many long running series. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
I'm trying to catch up on Supernatural right now. Like we're 8
Oh,
seasons behind. And
oh,
then
damn.
so
Ooh.
the drama, bro. So I don't know
Ooh.
if you heard. So Jensen Ackles is working on a prequel Supernatural series that's going to be
Hmm.
called The Winchesters that's just focused on their parents. Here's the drama behind it. No one ever told Jared Padelecki. He didn't know until the official announcement went out in Deadline.
Oh wow.
So he's like, yo, like what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like how could you work on this and like not tell me, or like, yo, you want to be involved? Like,
Yeah, they just cut him out like he wasn't shit. Like, yeah, that would make me lose my mind. I'm
yeah,
not sure
like
it's gonna
you
come out.
you worked on a show for 16 years, you decide to do a prequel, and then Jensen's he's going to be an executive producer and he's going to be narrating certain parts of the show. You never thought to like talk to Jared? Like nothing?
Look,
Like
look, 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 look. You don't know how offended I am because I've always been a Sam stan, and this is just a typical Dean move, dog. This is such a Dean. Jensen Ackles is just still playing Dean clearly because this is something that Dean would do to Sam, and I'm bothered by it. I'm absolutely bothered by it. You know what, Jared? You should be upset because, like, first of all, Sam is one of the best things. Sam had the best storylines in the show. Honestly, Sam had the best storyline. I mean, season 1 and 2. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The Prince of Demons storyline.
Yes,
What about the Lilith storyline?
Lilith was fucking.
The Michael and Lucifer storyline?
I have seen that. Yes. Really good.
Yeah, I got all the way to season 9.
Oh,
Or I'm at season 9 right now.
And
Yeah.
one thing a show does really well with heroes is the people around them that are constantly dying and making sacrifices so that they can stay alive. It's just that survivor's guilt, right? Like that constant feeling of shit, well, everyone that I know and love are dead and it's because they want to protect me so that I can continue the mission.
And for the most part, we end up seeing those characters later. You know, the ones that didn't die, we see like, oh, how were they affected, or you know, what happened to them following their experience. And I enjoyed that because it made you seem like, hey, like there are consequences. You know, that's one of the things. There are always consequences for stuff like this. And Supernatural does a great job of showing like what the consequences are for getting involved with the Winchesters. What the consequences are when you, as a human being that's oblivious to all things supernatural, find out that there are things that actually go bump in the night. How does one react to that? We've had some great storylines with that, and oh my goodness, it's like a fanboy Supernatural all the time. I mean, don't make me try to do a Supernatural podcast where we review every episode. Like that's about 300.
Yo, when I'm done,
right there. I mean,
when I'm
we're
done.
gonna break it up. We're gonna break it up into like series of 5. We'll do. You know what? That's hey, we're gonna do a Supernatural.
Yeah, it's in the books.
Sure.
It's in the books.
Yeah.
I was about to say because I know isn't Jared supposed to be Walker Texas Ranger reboot or something like that?
Oh, he is right now.
He's doing it right now. Yeah.
So that might be why he just assumed, oh, he probably don't want no parts of this, but he still could have mentioned.
I mean,
it's
not that because Jensen's doing The Boys season 3.
Yeah.
So he's busy too. So
oh yeah, he's supposed to be the Soldier Boy dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like he's busy too, but I mean he's finding time to do this, and they're not actually like on the show, right? Because it's about the parents. So it's just like, why didn't the CW talk to Jared about coming in as a co-producer with Jensen? 16 years of their life, you couldn't even give him a phone call. Like, can you imagine finding out that news? Like from Twitter, like
we grew up with these boys, you know, like they our brothers too. We grew up with them. And to hear this, it really does piss me off, low key. Like I was super excited when I heard about the Winchesters spinoff, but now I'm low key kind of mad about it because knowing that Jared had no idea. Like he found out when I found out. That's not disrespectful. That's not disrespectful.
Big facts.
Yeah, you could have offered it to him. And if he said no, fine, because he's busy. Like Steve
Mm-hmm.
was saying, it's like, yes, Jensen is going to be on a season of The Boys, and depending on how long that show goes, like he'll be on like more seasons. And like Jared's doing Walker Texas Ranger, right? He is the main character. Who knows how many seasons he'll get? So technically, he is busier. But you could have called him, and
Yeah.
you could have sent an email. You know what I mean? Like
It's not that
something.
hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah. So
That's
I thought that was kind of crazy to hear about all of that stuff. But I want to get into the last piece of news so that we can get into Loki. And I just want to hear your quick thoughts on the Shang-Chi trailer. This trailer absolutely blew me away. When Vash and I talked about like our most anticipated like MCU properties that were going to be coming out for 2021, Shang-Chi was like between like 1 and 3 or like 1 and 2. Like I'm so excited because this is the MCU expanding in a completely different way that we haven't seen before. This is going to be an all Asian cast, getting to know the real Mandarin, the real mystery of the Ten Rings, getting to experience an entirely new culture within the MCU, right? Because even when we went to space and we went to Asgard, yes, it's different. Yes, the cultures are different, but they still felt like all of the other characters that we know and we've been working with before. But with Shang-Chi, again, we're going to a completely different part. We're going to learn so much more about his culture and how he grew up as his father being the Mandarin, and what that was
mm-hmm.
like for him growing up, knowing that he would eventually become the next Mandarin. Like that was his purpose, right? So this movie is going to be very, very interesting. So Steve, I want to know your thoughts. Like, what did you think of the new Shang-Chi trailer?
I thought it was really, really good, especially because I had just watched not too long ago. I watched Warrior on HBO Max, so now I'm starting to get into like kung fu stuff and things like that. So it kind of gave me that same kind of like culture and the things like that. So I'm like excited to dive into that because I don't know anything about Shang Chi. Like I haven't read any comics or anything like that. So I'm going in blindly. I could start reading before it gets started, but then again, at the same time, I'm like, do I want to like have any kind of spoilers and things like that? Like even as the trailer was going on, I was getting surprises. I was all like, oh snap, he doesn't like his dad. I was like, oh snap, his dad was beating
I
on him.
don't recommend reading anything
Don't
because
read
the
it.
MCU is going to change everything anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
just experience it from the MCU lens, and then if you're curious, go back, but after the movie. That's my recommendation anyway.
Okay, yeah. Like so, I had no idea. The trailer just was surprising me as it was going on. It was like, oh shoot, I didn't know this. I didn't know he was the Mandarin until you just said it. I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know any of these things. So this is actually really exciting for me. You know what I'm saying? To go into this blindly and watch it, and it looked really, really beautiful. Like it looked really good. When the opening like I guess like the first 10 seconds of the trailer when they show the rings when they do that, I was like, that looks dope. Like that looks good as fuck. So I was all like, yeah, this looks like it's gonna be a really good movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts. For me, look, when they announced Shang-Chi, I actually had no idea anything about Shang-Chi. So my excitement level, I'm gonna be real with y'all. For me, of all the things coming out in 2021, at the bottom of the list was the Black Widow film. Shang-Chi was right above it. Like
Hmm.
that's how much. And for all those who know me, I really don't care about the Black Widow film. I'll watch it at some point. I don't really care for too much. Excited for Taskmaster, of course, but overall, it just to me it seems like too late to get it.
Yeah.
And so Shang-Chi, I just felt like I don't know. I'll watch it when I watch it. When I get to it, I'll get to it. But then when the first trailer came out, I was like, oh shit, okay. First of all, I owe a bunch of apologies to Simu Liu. I believe that's how I said. Sorry if I butchered his name. And to all of those on Shang-Chi, the trailer looked popping. Um, we all love martial arts. We do. And this movie is going to give us what we love, but in the comic book space, which is great. So we're going to get awesome fight choreography. Uh, for all those who follow the MCU and Iron Man, especially, we're going to get the proper Mandarin we deserve, right? And that's the most exciting thing. And we appreciate that Kevin Feige and them are like, all right, we messed up on some things. Um, Mandarin being one of them. So now we're going to get the real Mandarin is dope. Now, when we saw trailer 2, Lord, 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 Lord. So trailer one, a lot of hands throwing. We're like, all right, these guys, it's gonna be a martial arts movie. Bet. Number two showed us more of that, but it showed us exactly like, all right, what these 10 rings about. These 10 rings are weapons. And that scene between father and son with the different colors, I really look forward to. Like, how often have we had the plot line of father versus son? We get that, but this one looks really fun. And one of the biggest things that I appreciate seeing was Abomination and exactly how he looked like from Ed Norton's Hulk film back in what was that, 09 or how long ago was that film?
2008. Yeah, so I have it up on the stream right now.
Yeah,
like when I saw Abomination, I was like, the fuck? What?
Yes.
Like this is the movie where we bring back Abomination? Like I thought that was insane, dude.
Yeah, so it had me hyped because I'm gonna keep it real. Ed Norton's Hulk movie, I enjoyed. I've seen that film several times. I actually enjoyed it. I had no issues with it, really. Was it the best film? Of course not. But was it as bad as people made it out to see? Oh, hell no.
It wasn't as bad as that Eric Bana joint.
Right? So Edlin, here's the thing, right? So during one of the Marvel one-shots, you can see Ben Kingsley's character Trevor in jail, and the real organization, the Ten Rings, sent men after him to kill him for impersonating the real Mandarin. So yeah, he was definitely impersonating a real person, and they came after him for impersonating the real Mandarin. So that was something that I really appreciated after Iron Man 3, because for me, not having the prior knowledge of the one shot, I was like, oh, they completely disrespected one of Iron Man's like biggest villains, right? In his earlier days, right? Completely disrespected. It's like, no, he's not the real Mandarin. He was posing as the Mandarin, and the Ten Rings, the organization, actually has him. So I thought that was really dope. I kind of want like a small scene of him in like a prison in China, like under the Mandarin. But who knows? Maybe they just killed him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm actually, is this coming out before the She-Hulk series?
That's a good question.
I think so.
Because if I'm not mistaken, Abomination is supposed to be in She-Hulk as well.
You are correct, sir.
So if that's the case, then yeah, this is actually a good tie-in, because we get Abomination on the Shanghai series, and then we see him in She-Hulk. So that
because I don't think we're going to see that sequence where Abomination is fighting, and we probably won't like.
So She-Hulk isn't until 2022.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so because I know that we were supposed to get Hulk in that as well. So She-Hulk and Hulk is going to be in it as well, and that way you get your Hulk without having to have his own franchise. Still, that's how they keep putting them in stuff. Put them in Thor Ragnarok, and then they're going to do this She-Hulk thing.
Absolutely.
Without giving his own franchise, but he's just in the character in it. It's smart and get past all those copyrights. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I love this trailer. There was another part of the trailer where we see, and I looked this up. They're calling it the Great Protector. It was this big like white dragon under the ocean. Now, Abe, you're a big comic book guy. I instantly thought of Fin Fang Foom. I don't know about you, but that's what I instantly thought of when I saw this dragon. I was like, is this the MCU bringing in Fin Fang Foom, making him a good guy, calling him the Great Protector, that's like a spirit guardian over these warriors?
I mean, it'd be dope to bring him in, and this would be ideal. So what I'm enjoying so far about everything that we're getting from Marvel is that they're laying the groundwork for multiple villains and storylines to be playing on in the universe and affecting different group of heroes. Because again, we have most of all Marvel characters on the property, and man, that'd be. Oh, I didn't even think of that. That'd be. Oh. As long as they end up turning him into a bad guy, as long as they end up having him have this small.
Why does he have to be a bad guy?
I don't accept.
He likes villains.
Good.
I mean, I do too, but.
Yeah, I mean that's the name of the show.
But I feel like this would be like the perfect moment for the MCU to take that character and make him cooler, like a spirit beast, or something like that.
Because it's kind of too wild to just have a random dragon just appear on Earth. Like, hold on, what? Like,
right? Like, where did you come from?
Hold on. Let's have him be a spirit beast if anything. So I feel it.
Yeah, but like you guys already alluded to, but that scene where we get to see Shang-Chi against his father, the Mandarin, we already know that's the third act fight. That's the last thing that we're gonna see as far as a fight goes in the movie. And man, like just the visuals, the color palette, you get the parallel of when he was a kid and his father was telling him, like, if you want to be able to use the 10 rings, you have to like follow my path and do all of these different things, which is pretty much why he sends like a bunch of ninjas after his own son. He's like, I told him they wouldn't be able to kill you. I'm glad to see you here, son. It's like, this dude is clearly like fucked in the head. So it's like, it's good to see him, someone who walked away from that responsibility when he realized what his father truly was, and him accepting who he is to take on that mantle, but to change what it means, right?
Look. The father did what's best for his son. Look at him now. Now he could kick anybody's ass. You feel me? Now he can actually be useful in the MCU. Because if he could be taken out by them ninjas, he was gonna hang with the crew. Now he can hang. Hey, his father was looking out for his well-being. Mandarin, we appreciate you.
You do it for the better good.
Hey, by any means necessary. That's the motto. That's the motto.
So, other question for you. Looking back at this image at Abomination, do we think that this is Wong from Doctor Strange? Now, I don't want to be racist and just be like, oh, it's a heavier set Asian guy. It has to be Wong, right? So it's like, I think it would be cool to bring Wong into Shang-Chi, right? So what did you guys think about this?
When people mentioned it, I was thinking like, hey, I feel like the actor for Wong deserves as much screen time as they can get. And he, thanks to the first Doctor Strange movie, he's part of the MCU, like in terms of he's part of the family. We want to see more of it. Kind of like how Happy was for Iron Man. We enjoyed Happy's role, and we enjoyed seeing him in Spider-Man and playing such a bigger role there. Even if Wong only has a few minutes here, let us know what he's doing, in the MCU. I would like to know what he's up to. He's cage fighting? I bet. How he end up there, you're going to let us know? If you don't, we'll find out at some point. So if it is Wong, dope. If it's not, all right. But at least we further iterate that there are other sorcerers out there, because let's be real. The only sorcerers we really got to know was Wong, was Doctor Strange. We, of course, had those that entered in the big fight of Endgame and whatnot. But now to know, like, hey, there are sorcerers that might be involved in other stuff outside of what we've seen them as, I appreciate that. So if it's Wong or not, hey, it's a win regardless.
Yeah. If it's Wong, I'll definitely like it because of the fact that he's one of those characters that they've put in like in each of the movies that people enjoy. So like you had the agent when that was with Samuel L. Jackson. That was getting the Avengers basically assembled together. Then you have an Ant-Man. I can't remember his name right now, but the Hispanic guy that's telling the story and stuff like Luis. Yeah. So you got him, and then in Spider-Man, you got his best friend. So each one of these movies have one of those characters that the fan base just falls in love with. So if Wong is in this, I'm going to be excited about it just because he's one of those characters that kind of just always ties it all together, and it gives you that lovable character from each one of the things like that. So I'll like it if it's Wong. I'll definitely appreciate that.
I really hope it's him too, and also just to have like he can be that connective tissue to Shang-Chi being connected to the rest of the MCU, because I expect to see things in this film that we've never seen before in the MCU. Yeah. So to see someone familiar, and again seeing Abomination, it just further like envelops you into the MCU, and it's like, yo, don't forget Shang-Chi it's all wrapped up in here, like it's all part of the same thing. So I am very, very excited for Shang-Chi. Unlike you, Abe, I'm actually very excited for Black Widow. I do feel in a way it is kind of too little too late, but it's like, you know what? I'm glad that we're getting it and not getting a Black Widow movie at all, right? Because at least Hawkeye is getting a series. Wanda and Vision got a series. Falcon and Winter Soldier got a series. All of the other main characters have their own movies. So it's like, for me, like for Black Widow to finally get her own movie, and this is like the comics, you know what I mean? Like you have the main timeline, and then sometimes you just jump to different time periods, tell a quick story that's only like 6 issues, and then you move on, right? So that's how I'm seeing Black Widow.
Part of me is holding out and thinking that there might be a major plot twist that will have people go like, oh shit, like, okay.
I think Yelena's going to be the next Black Widow. I think she's going to be the next Black Widow for the new Avengers.
Which would be dope, you know, because Black Widow does play a significant role, and they built her up a lot lately, the MCU, to just kind of move on from her permanently. I don't think it would be fair to the character, because Black Widow has inspired a good amount of the comic fan base to really dive in and to commit to the MCU. But like I said, I'll watch it when I get to it. I don't think I'll go see it in theaters first weekend. I might wait a couple months, or maybe a couple of years, depending on how long it takes.
You're crazy, bro.
Not
You're
a couple
crazy.
Years. You're in the content space. You ain't got no choice now. You got to get on it.
Right? I was just going to say, like, I mean, you want to be on the Black Widow review? Because then you got to watch
it. I'll let you know closer to that.
I'll let you know.
But Steve, are you excited for Black Widow?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's just because it gives you that refreshing breath of fresh air of the old crew, the old Avengers crew, and things like that. Even if they don't actually talk about them in a sense, but you still get to see Scarlett Johansson in that role, and you'll just be like, I remember the good old days, kind of the first Phase 1 Avengers and stuff like that. So, yeah, and like Abe said, it is too late, because I mean, we know what happens to her. She's going to live. There's not really, the stakes aren't going to be that high for this movie, because she lives and she doesn't die until later on. But there's still something. It's something up Marvel's sleeve. They got to have something up their sleeve. And then you never know. This mess around and be like the next big movie, and then Abe's gonna have no choice but to watch it. He's gonna hear everybody talking about how great it was, and he's gonna be like, damn, and have to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So,
you'd be surprised what I can BS and put together without having to watch something. So, if I choose to be stubborn, I'll be able to still be caught up and know relevant information. That's fine. And continue on from there. But we shall see. Like I said, I'll watch it at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I will let you know, because I will be seeing it opening night. I actually need to buy my tickets, because it's actually going to be in Dolby Cinema, so I'm very, very excited about that. But let's move into the main topic of tonight's show. We are going to be talking about Loki episode 3. Now, compared to episode 1 and 2, this episode, I wouldn't say it had like that much in terms of like story to push everything forward, or like Easter eggs or anything like that. I barely found like any, but I still really, really like this episode. General thoughts from me, much like the moment between Loki and Mobius, I love the moment between Loki and Sylvie, just sitting on the train talking, and we'll get into a lot more detail into that conversation and what it all means for these two characters. But just those moments, right? And then just them being on this planet, this sense of hopelessness, because they don't really know how they're going to get off of this planet. And I love the cliffhanger at the end where it's like, oh shit, we're not going to resolve this right now. Come back next time on Dragon Ball Z, right? So love that ending. When it ended, I was like, my girlfriend turned to me. She was like, wait, it's over already? It was just like, fuck, right? So I love this episode. I thought it was amazing. Not sure just yet where it ranks with the other 2 episodes, but absolutely loved it. Steve, where do you fall on this?
So for this episode as a standalone, I was just like, it's just an okay episode. But I actually went back and I watched episode 1 and 2 and then watched this one. And there's some stuff that's in episode 1 that I think, maybe it's just a theory of mine, but I think it played a part in episode 3. But we'll get into that later.
Okay.
But episode 3 is definitely like, it just seemed like it was just like it almost felt like a filler episode in a sense, but it was like, it gave you some storyline. It gave you some you got to talk to Lady Loki and see how she thinks and how she moves and things about her childhood, the differences and stuff like that between her and the original Loki or our original Loki, things like that. So I actually didn't have a problem with this episode. I just thought it was, you know what I'm saying, as a standalone episode, I was like, it's not as good as episode 2 to me, but I did think that once I watched all 3 episodes again, and then I was like, oh, okay, maybe that could have played a part. So I took some notes, and yeah.
Okay, Abe, general thoughts?
General thoughts. Enjoyed it. Like there was a little tease that we'll get to that had me excited. And like you, I enjoyed the banter between Loki and Sylvie. I enjoyed the further character development that we got with Loki. And it's, Loki's one of those characters. For anybody who plays D&D, Loki's essentially like a bard, and bards are such well played bards are so integral, I believe, to any D&D campaign because they can make it or break the story. Their humor, their wit, how they engage with other characters. And so we always knew about that with Loki, but now you're giving him someone who's on par with him and equal. And that back and forth is like watching chess play between two Lokis and seeing how, like the whole back and forth, like, oh, I could help you. It's like, oh, but then you'll try to kill me. It's like, why would I do such a thing? Well,
Yeah.
maybe I'm lying. But it was definitely dope. So I enjoyed the episode for what it was, and I really enjoyed how it ended too. I'm enjoying the direction the MCU has been taking with their shows. We're not getting long gone are the days of cookie cutter stories where there's always a happy ending, where there's always a positive solution or conclusion, excuse me, to an issue. Long gone are those days, and I enjoy it so much.
Yeah. So let's dive into the episode itself and let's start breaking this down. So Steve, I want to start with you. I love the beginning of this episode. We got to see a little bit more of what happened between Sylvie and Hunter C20 on at the Rocks cart. I
Mm-hmm.
love that interaction and getting to see what her enchantment powers are actually like when she's inside someone's mind. I don't know about you guys. I instantly thought Inception, where you're
Yeah.
trying to plant this idea in someone's mind so that they can give you the information that you're looking for. I love that one moment where it was like daytime, and then she asked the question, and C20 is like, "Wait, what?" And then it pauses, and then it cuts to like nighttime,
Nighttime.
and it's just like, oh, this is her mind like trying to rationalize what's actually happening, and then
Mm-hmm.
Sylvie's using her magic to try to trick her into thinking that something else is happening. So I love that. That was something so simple to show us how that power actually works, and I can't wait to see like what else the extent of that power can do, right? So love that. And then Sylvie ends up at the TVA, realizes that she can't use that ability on some of the other TVA agents, which I found very very interesting because C20 is one of their best hunters, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was really really interesting, and then she starts to prune a bunch of these TVA agents. So Steve, I want to start with you. What did you think about that Inception scene with Sylvie, and then Sylvie just going ape shit on those guys at the TVA?
So at first, I thought it was dope in the beginning. When she even started with the theorizing of brain freezes, and I was all like, oh, okay. She was all like, yeah. She was like, if you get a brain freeze, you know what I'm saying, you can't remember certain things. She was just tricking her so she could go ahead and ask the question, and hopefully she would just spit it out. And then I was thinking like the reason why she's messing with her with brain freeze because she's chugging her drink as well. But you have to remember that she's I guess in her Loki, even though she's a variant, her original form is an ice, demon. So I'm like, oh, okay, she can't get brain freezes. That's what I started thinking. So I was like, okay, cool. And then like originally, like I thought that she was like could read minds and stuff like that, or how she was like kind of like I thought she was communicating with Loki because Loki wasn't necessarily speaking. It was like a distorted voice in episode 2. But and I thought she was kind of like reading minds. So this kind of was like a mind thing, I guess, mind game. So I was like, oh, okay, so I was close, or I felt like I was close. So I was all like, all right, cool. And then when they do go on to the nighttime and everything like that, that's when I realized, and I was like, oh, okay, so she doesn't actually, because I was thinking maybe she actually knew her from a past life at first, and then once I
I was thinking
realized
that
it,
too.
yeah, and I was all like, okay, I'm realizing that she's in her mind and things like that. So I thought that whole scene was done very well, and it was more so like she wiped her clean. And it was like, all right, we'll try this at night, and she just wiped it clean real quick, and then retried it again. And she was really direct. Like you could tell that, in my opinion, it felt like Lady Loki was in a rush. Like I think if she had more time, she could have got the information out of her. But it felt like she was in a rush because she was like, "Now tell me how many people are guarding the timekeepers." It was like so quick and so direct. It wasn't like disguised or masked or anything. So that just showed that she's inside of the store. You know what I'm saying? And she's realizing that I need to get this information quick so I can go. You know what I'm saying? So I like that part too about it. So that scene was dope.
Yeah, Abe.
Man, it was fun just being able to show how her powers work. Because keep in mind, all the Lokis have similar power sets except for one or two differences, and we're seeing how different this one is. And later, the Loki's even like, oh, how, he's questioning like, oh, that threw him off. He didn't know that was a thing. And then some of the dialogue, she's like, oh, you're the magician and you're the tech savvy one. It's like, there's some differences in what they could do in their beliefs as well. um, I enjoyed how she was able to extract information and the skill of her ability to enchant. I also just had a I love the choreography. I love how she was whooping ass. Look, Sylvie got hands, baby. She got
Yeah.
hands. Ain't
Seriously, dog.
nobody, yo. And I was like, it's funny too because she could have honestly pruned all of them, but murder was not like her main focus. It was just if you got in the way, you were going to get killed. If you tried to kill her, she would kill you back. But there was a good number of TBA soldiers that she also just like knocked out. She didn't completely end. So I thought that was interesting. Like, yes, she's a killer, but she's not some homicidal maniac that's like, I got to kill everybody. No,
Right.
you can survive if you decide not to to aim for a kill too. You know?
Mm.
Much like, I mean, she is a Loki, so they operate in a very gray area.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the choreography of that fight scene, I thought it looked really really good. Like she was kicking so much ass, bro. So I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love that. And then we get the scene where Ravana shows up, and then Loki activates the temp device, and then they get teleported to Lamentis 1. So I find this very, very interesting, that the name of the episode is called Lament, and that's literally what they're doing throughout the entire episode, and that this planet is called Lamentis 1. We're also in the year 2077, and later on in the episode, we can see a bunch of Kree glyphs everywhere. So that makes me believe that this planet is somewhere in the Kree cluster, right? So I thought that was really, really cool, picking that up. So Abe had a really, really sick theory, when it comes to the planet Lamentis. So I'm going to let Abe kill this shit right now.
Okay. Well, funny that you mentioned the Kree, JD, because that's exactly another connection. The Lamentis is a Kree settlement on the outer edge of their empire. So it further establishes that the Kree are in the MCU and we are on we're in their territory right now. But the biggest thing about it, and it was just a small thing for those who love comics. There's only one time Lamentis is really mentioned that we actually ever visit the planet, and it's in between two major storylines of comics. That is in between the Annihilation Wave, and the Phalanx storyline. Now, for those who are familiar with the Annihilation Wave, to keep it short and simple, Annihilus developed a vast army called the Annihilation Wave that just went through dimensions, destroying stuff. Like it was ridiculous. He was really powerful, and that had a lot to do with the Avengers and the Fantastic Four teaming up to combat him. Fantastic Four is significant because we can at least theorize or assume that Phase 4 will likely end with the introduction of Fantastic Four. And we
Hopefully.
always kind of, hopefully, and we always kind of knew that Annihilus was going to be spoken upon very soon somewhere in the next few years. So what's a great way of having one of the immediate main antagonists be Annihilation Wave, and we have the Fantastic Four family. Whether we'll get Annihilation Wave after that, of course, but it's a great Fantastic Four storyline that we can have because we can assume that X-Men. I think it's safe to assume that X-Men won't come in real soon. Like it'll be some time after we get the Fantastic Four kind of established because that's a good number of character lore that would be kind of introduced all at once, right? And then the second storyline that follows the mentioned Lamentis in the comics is the Phalanx, which is more of an Avengers and X-Men focused storyline, where the Phalanx are similar to the Brood. You know, they go about destroying worlds or assimilating them into the Hive. Again, we already know that Fantastic Four and X-Men are coming into the MCU, and for this tease of Lamentis, which we probably won't touch upon again until maybe phase 8, who knows, phase 7, whatever. It further goes to what I've been saying every week, just how much of a keystone this Loki show is for the future of the MCU. This is the opportunity to have like shots thrown in there of like, hey, this planet exists, this time period, this is what happens, this event happened. And when you go back, you're like, oh, this so-and-so is connected to this storyline, so-and-so is connected to this storyline. Further telling you like, hey, this all already exists. We're planting the seeds. So I was really, really geeked when I saw that. And JB, again, I'm really happy that you felt like, yeah, you know, I feel like it's connected to the Kree. It is exactly connected to the Kree as well. So it's exciting. I mean, look, I was really excited for this Loki show when they announced it, and it's further proving why my excitement was justified. So I'm really, really happy, really excited about that. It was so cool. And the color scheme was so dope. So dope. I love all the purple lighting that we got. Purple is one of my favorite colors.
Yeah.
So dope. So dope.
That was going to be literally my transition point. So it's like, I absolutely love the color palette and the design of this planet in general. So Steve, what did you think of like the design of Lamentis 1 and like the fact that they're on a moon staring up at the planet that's literally breaking apart and falling onto its moon. So like, what did you think of the design, the apocalyptic event itself? Like, what did you think?
I thought it was really dope. I like the fact that it's a purple planet or moon or whatever it was. I thought that was different. That just gave this like kind of like dark feel, like kind of like gloomy feel, like it's upon us. You know what I'm saying? The end is upon us, and they're not even really. No one else is really understanding, or you know what I'm saying, really realizing what's really about to take place. And like she even says, Lady Loki's like, you took us to the worst place you could took us. You know what I'm saying? One of the worst events you could have taken us to. And he was all like, well, you know what I'm saying? And it seems almost, I'll go into it a little deeper later, but it seems tactical because Loki's not dumb. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, I took you to the worst, you know what I'm saying? The worst event, disaster that could happen. You know what I'm saying? I took you here, and then there's other scenes where later on where he does some clumsy things and kind of as a klutz, and it just doesn't. It feels kind of uncharacteristic of Loki from what we've seen out of Loki. So that kind of it feels, and I'll tell you the main reason why it is later on once we get to a certain scene, but I'll save it for later. But it just seems uncharacteristic of Loki to be so, you know what I'm saying, kind of just doing things out of his character.
Well, in this case, I do feel it was just chance. I mean, he hasn't studied the timeline extensively to know all the apocalyptic events. And he just randomly picked one because they needed to get out of Dodge, right? I think it's very unlucky that he happened to pick the worst one possible. But I don't know if he did that purposeful. It would be, I mean, that's a lot of extra planning.
I feel that way.
Ridiculous.
I feel like if he did it on purpose, he would have had a way off the planet.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's why I said we're going to get to
okay.
Unless you just want to go into it now.
No, we'll wait. Okay. Yeah. So I loved like we talked about before. I love just watching Loki and Sylvie like play off of each other, right? Like they show up to this one lady's house and Loki's like, like diplomacy, like it would be way better than violence. And Sylvie just kicks in the door and is immediately blasted. And then Loki tries to shapeshift into this woman's husband and then he gets blasted too. And
She's like, he was never that nice.
She was like, so what was that? Diplomacy, right?
right. So I absolutely love that scene because it could have been a coin flip and it could have been our Loki that kicked in the door and Sylvie that chose diplomacy. Like you never know which side of Loki you're going to get in any moment, which is why, like he's the god of mischief, which is why you love Loki. You never know what he's going to do. He's absolutely unpredictable. Love the scene once they get to the train yard and then he puts on the suit. He puts on one of the military suits and his acting is absolutely horrendous. It's like, Loki, you're the god of mischief. I thought you could have done better than this. So it's like, what did you think about this scene of them essentially working together, right? Because he shapeshifts to looks like a soldier and then Sylvie touches the other guy to like enchant his mind so that they can get onto the train. What did you guys think about that?
Well, to be honest, two heads are always better than one, right? I mean, two Lokis will have more success than one Loki. I think that's what this kind of proved because they both were like, no, my way is going to get it done. But you saw that you needed both of their ways. You needed Loki's way to get him to the door, and then Sylvie's way got him in past the door. Neither plan would have worked solo had they decided to go about that way. Like, yes, I mean, Loki called it. What are you going to do? Enchant someone, and then if they get killed, you just start killing people? If need be, yes. It's like, all right, Sylvie, we already knew Sylvie had hands. We already knew Sylvie was a killer.
Yeah.
Like, she brother, and this was not the right setting to have that. A lot of things go wrong if it went solely with Sylvie's plan. However, with Loki's plan, we also saw like, hey, your plan ain't foolproof either. It's like, you still need me. I thought that was really, really dope. Really fun. I liked while we all know that Lokis are similar in one way and are similar in most ways, they're both very witty, both very intellectual. Seeing the differences and how they behave, like it's clear that Sylvie is more of a woman of action. Like she's more direct than anything. Whereas Loki likes to play the game. Loki likes to build up the suspense. He's a storyteller. He's similar to Anansi the spider. He weaves a web. And I love how we continue to see those differences played out to remind you that while these variants are all similar in some shape or fashion, there are distinct differences that can help you set apart. Unfortunately, when you have a character like Loki, the god of mischief, he can play any role he thinks fit. So he's not really confined into one box, except to say that he is a storyteller. He's going to make his entrances, his plans intricate. They'll be extra. They won't be something that you can simply follow. He needs flair. He likes flair. But that's what we enjoy about Loki is the flair. He has style to his plans. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. Mercenary, I don't know, but I don't subscribe to the shipping of Loki and Sylvie. I think it would be a more beneficial relationship if they became more like friends or siblings, right? Because I feel like that's what they each need, right? Like there's
that's
so
like
much
falling in love with yourself,
right?
Like, I got to say, if anybody would do it, Loki.
I mean,
right.
Loki would be
if anyone would do it, it would be Loki. Which is why I'm saying I'm not saying like, oh, it's wrong or anything. But it's just like, I don't know. I personally don't subscribe to the idea because I feel like they need each other in a different way, right? It's like they're both the same. They're both really annoying. They're both always trying to trick the other person. And it's like, God, now I see how annoying I am, right? So it's like, I feel like that friendship, that sibling rivalry would be more entertaining than shipping them romantically. But I don't know. Spicy, I definitely agree. Loki is definitely observing everything that's happening. He's definitely forming a plan. But what is it, right? Because they can't get off this planet. It's like, did he find some way to get a message to Mobius before
I,
like the device was destroyed. Like I want to get into your theory once we get there, Steve. But it's just like what is Loki working on? Because we know he's always working on something. So I'm curious.
mm-hmm. um, I like the fact that this two scene, the scene of with them trying to get into the bar or whatever, that they're depending on each other and they're realizing that I can't do this alone, even though they're always, Loki is always like thinking, I can do this, I can do that. So when it doesn't work, when his plan doesn't work or whatever, and then her plan has to kick in where she touches him and, you know, enchants his mind or whatever, it's kind of like, see, you need me. And I do think that that was like just a more character development on Loki in general, of just realizing that, like, you know what I'm saying, maybe I do need to work together, because even in the early episodes, he realized he was looking at the time where he worked with Thor and how they fought together and things like that. So I do think that that is one of the things that's playing more into the character development overall of Loki, seeing what it's like to work with someone and, you know, doing things as a team. Um, then they go inside and don't they like just party a little bit and get the drinking. And I saw in the chat another when he's drinking and he slams it down, and it reminds you of when Thor did it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Thor
love that
1.
reference.
Yeah. So with that whole scene too, though, because I do remember Thor was drinking the beer with the old man in Thor 1, and he got him really drunk because Thor couldn't get drunk. And I'm wondering, can Loki get drunk really, or was he playing, pretending to be drunk?
Well, he did say that he's hedonistic, and Sylvie was like, "Trust me, I'm hedonistic. I too, I am hedonistic. But
Yeah.
there's a time and place for everything." You know, Loki's one of those guys where one of those characters where yes, I wouldn't doubt it that Loki got drunk and would do some. I mean, clearly there's some way they have their debauchery. We go back to the first episode. He said that he played DB Cooper because he lost the bet. You know, when it comes to those games, you can involve drinking now. While he couldn't get drunk, maybe there's something else that can get Loki feeling that intoxicated, feeling that lively. But also, it's at the end of the day, it's Loki. Him playing at being drunk is right up his alley because we
Mm,
all know that when you're drunk, your tongue gets loose. It's a great way to gather information, and Loki's one of those who would use that easily to be able
yeah.
to gather all and any information he has. So it can go either way. I'm actually curious as to what the true answer is, whether he can get drunk or not. But if he can, then you know it's always going to be a fun time with Loki. It's always going to be a fun time. But you don't know
Yeah.
what you're going
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
into.
Because he couldn't use his powers as he was drunk and things like that. But I'm like, is he like, okay, he's pretending to be drunk and he's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I can't use my powers. And he's hoping that Lady Loki will get him out of the situation. And I just think it's a lot of mischief going on in this episode. I think he's playing a role.
Yeah,
Definitely think he's playing a role.
I also enjoyed the dialogue between Sylvie and Loki. It's about, you know, well, one, which honestly, I'm surprised that no one really knew this about Loki anyway, but they confirmed that Loki is bisexual as well as Sylvie. And it's like, well, that's not a surprise given the mythos of Loki and most mythos of deities. Their sexuality is very fluid
Yeah,
in a
Within.
lot.
and Loki gender swaps all the
Yeah,
time.
so it's like,
There's a storyline where Loki turns himself into a unicorn and then has sex with another unicorn to create Odin's like eight-legged horse that he
yeah,
has in the first
so
Thor movie. It's weird, bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's why I
well,
said I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow shipped these Lokis together because
yeah, I mean,
of all the stuff he's
it
done.
fit, but it also, I mean, like someone mentioned, he's the ultimate narcissist, so it makes sense. It absolutely does. I don't think it's necessary, but I was surprised by the outrage. Like, oh my gosh, Loki's bisexual. It's like, oh, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. But in them describing and him giving his speech about what love is, and he said love is like a
Love is a dagger.
and he said love is mischief, and I was just like, Loki, look at you. Look at the further emotional growth that we're getting with Loki. Because keep in mind, this version of Loki doesn't have the character development that we were used to. That has been completely erased. This Loki is essentially being retconned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing one of the things that I love about the show so far and what they've shown us is that we're seeing that Loki was always meant to have this character development regardless. Because as they showed, like, oh, if he did not take the Tesseract, he would have escaped anyway and ended up on his planet and been responsible for his mom's death. You know, that would have happened. We saw that the normal timeline of him dying at Thanos' hand was going to happen, but the brotherly moment with Thor was still meant to be. So we know that Loki's not a shallow character. He was never meant to be a shallow character. And we're still getting that emotional growth. We're still getting that look into just his psyche. Of course, we always have to take everything with a grain of salt. It is the God of mischief. We have to take everything with a grain of salt. But I do enjoy what they're doing with him and having him explore his self more with Sylvie, a variant of Loki, is like looking into a mirror. You know, how often do we ourselves, when we wake up, we have that conversation in the mirror about like, yo, this is how we're gonna get through the day. Like, we give ourselves either a motivational talk or we just have discussions with ourselves. We like to hear ourselves think out loud sometimes. You know, when you're in the shower and you're just thinking like, man, some of the best ideas I have come in the shower. I'm just like, man, I gotta get through it. So having that physically played out between Loki and Sylvie is so dope and it's so crucial to the character development, and they're doing such a great job of doing it. So I was really, really pleased. It's one of my favorite parts about this episode is the dialogue.
Oh yeah, that's why I never bought the whole like Enchantress thing. Like we talked about in the last episode, like I felt like it's more impactful for Loki as a character to learn from himself, essentially, right? A version of himself that went through different things and ended up in a different place, but it's still virtually like him so that he can understand himself and in turn he can also help Sylvie. So for me, that always made more sense. Like I feel like to introduce Amora in the Loki series wouldn't be a smart idea. Like focus on Loki. To introduce Enchantress would be so much. Save that for like Love and Thunder or like something else dealing in the Thor movies or like Guardians or some shit like that. Like there's other places you can introduce Enchantress. This was definitely not the spot. But Abe, I want to continue where you were talking about just the dialogue. Steve, I want to start with you. Like, what did you think about that conversation between Loki and Sylvie, just talking about their parents, right? Like, Sylvie found out from jump that she was adopted, right? Her parents told her straight up, and Loki had to find out on his own, right? So how did you feel about that entire conversation? One Loki that actually got to spend time with Frigga and learn magic, and then you have Sylvie, who lost her mother really early on, and any magic that she does know, she had to learn on her own, which was something that I really, really liked and gives like a unique aspect to this character. So what did you think about that conversation and like the similarities and differences between the Lokis?
I like the fact that it was showing that they're different because even though they are the same quote unquote variant of each other, they still had different outcomes in their life. And I like that. And I like the fact that Loki, if you notice, Loki has a lot more feelings, like a lot more emotional feelings and things like that. Where a Lady Loki Sylvie doesn't have that. You know, she kind of is more so strong and on her characteristics and on her, like, I stick to the mission. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And that's because Loki had that time with his mother. And she was she was caring and she was that type of person, and he got to have that growing up where she didn't have that growing up. So she's more so stern, kind of like Odin, and just like, I got to get this done, I got to get that done. I love that part. I also love the fact that in the whole situation with him and her, they're talking about it, and he finds out like that that he was adopted and she wasn't, and then when we find out that she's learning to do magic on her own. All the magic she learned was on her own, and I think maybe that was why it worked. The magic worked when she used it on Huntress, but it didn't work once they got inside of the thing, because she may have slipped up because she hasn't taught herself everything perfectly, things like that. So I'm thinking maybe that's why it didn't work on the other guard, because it worked on um at the very
C20,
beginning
yeah.
on C20, and it worked. And then when she got inside of the thing, it didn't work or whatever. So I'm thinking maybe, you know what I'm saying, she's just at that point where she's like, she still hasn't perfected it, her magic and things like that. And that's because she wasn't taught it. She had to self-learn it. So I'm thinking maybe that's the reason why that she wasn't able to do that.
Yeah,
I
more than
I
likely.
think yeah, I think also the possibility exists that because Loki at teased it, well, I mentioned it that the reason it wouldn't work on him is because his mind is too strong. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that there are certain members of the TBA whose mental capabilities are, whether by chance or because they've worked on it, given that
Right.
what they have to deal with
Or
and their job.
programmed that way.
Yeah, or programmed that way because there was
They're all variants. Yeah.
that was something that was really revealed, which we go back to episode 1. What was Loki told? Like, oh, this is the entire life I know. We're born here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we were created by the
Yeah,
timekeepers.
it's like
Cap.
no,
Yeah.
no. It again. Remember back in I had mentioned that the power of the TVA is not absolute. Like they don't have a full control like they pretend to be.
Right.
They have a very loose grasp on everything, which is why nothing is really as it should be, and why they're really bothered by the possibility of anything outside the sacred timeline because they are lacking in power. So
Mhm.
finding out that all the agents are actually variants, it also leads you to remember the discussion in episode 2 with Mobius and Renslayer, like the other analysts. Well, it seems fair to me that Mobius has never met the other analyst. What
Mhm.
if the other analyst is a Mobius variant?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's
Yeah,
what I
you
said. I
mentioned that.
wonder.
Like
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
that could end up being what it is. That they just never came across each other because Renslayer, who works directly under the timekeepers, as we are led to assume so far, has been confirmed so far. It would make sense that she would have meetings. I mean, keep in mind during that scene, the camera seemed to sit on Mobius placing his cup on a coaster. When you
Mhm.
saw the outline of the ring, Steve, you had mentioned this, the outline of the ring on the table, meaning that all right, whoever also comes to this office has come long enough to not use a coaster and leave a permanent ring.
Mhm.
Now, is that something that Mobius does? Because again, in the discussion, Renslayer T's like, yeah, you don't use my coaster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, okay, this one used the coaster.
Mhm.
There's one that
That's the small
doesn't.
differences. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
small differences.
So is that another Mobius variant, which means that hey, timekeepers, y'all ain't. You see, this is why Kang was whooping y'all out.
Yeah,
Kang,
Steve might be right on that, man. It may
yeah.
just be another Mobius variant. This whole revelation that we find out, because Sylvie tells Loki everything about like how her enchantment works and why she had to go even hundreds of years before C20 even worked for the timekeepers, and he's like, wait, what? There was memories before? It's like, yeah, dude, they're
Mhm.
all variants. This was something that I suspected, but I never said it because I didn't think it was true, right? But
Mhm.
it's like, oh well, shit, yeah, it's true. They're all variants, and I actually think that Mobius was pulled from the '90s, right? That
Mhm.
soda that he likes to drink, I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I believe it was discontinued in the '90s. The
Oh
reason why
snap!
he's so obsessed with jet skiing is because I mean, jet skiing was kind of at like its newest and its heights in the '90s, right? So it's like this is why
Ah.
he's so obsessed with these things because he's from the '90s, but he doesn't realize it because the timekeepers has erased their memories, altered their memories, and made them into TVA agents. It's like they're all so shitty against variants. It's like you're all variants, bro, and you don't
Mhm.
even know it, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that, and it's crazy because we just watched that in WandaVision where Wanda hypnotized the whole town and had them thinking that they were a completely different thing. And it's like, oh, this is just full circle. It's another situation where that's going on. So that could be really dope if that's what's going on. Like, I don't
And
know.
I'm probably reading into this, but it definitely wasn't a coincidence that the shape of the coaster is a hexagon. Remember, I said it.
Ooh.
So here's the thing too that I feel like the reason why they are letting us know it's variants is that it pays homage to the origin of the TVA. So the first time the TVA was introduced in the comics was Thor issue number 372, which came out, I did my research.
Yeah,
I think in
372, 375, something like that.
Yeah, it came out in 1986, and the TVA originally paid homage to longtime Marvel
372,
writer
you're
and
right,
editor, to Mark Grunwald, and that actually the TVA staff were all clones of Mark Grunwald. And what's another word for clones in this situation? Variants, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that may be just a loose homage to his origin. Like, hey, you know, we're not going to do clones of the same person. That's way too obvious, right? It makes the storytelling too obvious. But if we have variants of the same characters that work for the TVA, that pays homage to his origin. So I thought that was pretty cool when I found that out, and I like that they confirmed that. So I feel like, again, that's just a loose connection to its origin story, which I thought was pretty dope.
I just saw the 3 Morpheus panel when I was reading, and I saw that, and that's why I was like, I wonder if there's a different version of him. And that's what I was thinking with the second one, but I didn't realize that there were variants. I just thought he was another analyst. You know what I'm saying? That he just hadn't met. I didn't, like, until she said it on this episode, they're all variants. I was like, oh shit, that makes sense now. So that's what I was leading towards when I saw it in the comic. I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. So I'm hoping that's right, that we'll get to see that.
Yeah, I hope we get to see something like that, because the more I think about it, I was like, you know what, that might actually be the case. So we already talked about Loki finding out that all of the TVA agents are variants. Loki and Sylvie, they got thrown off the plane. The temp pad was completely destroyed. So now they're trying to run towards the Ark, the only ship that's left, to try to get the remaining civilization off of the planet. Now we know how it's supposed to happen is that ship gets destroyed and everyone dies. But they were trying to get to that ship before it all exploded. Tom Hiddleston mentioned in an interview that we were going to get to see a lot of different things in terms of, like, different things about Loki's magic that we haven't seen before. On the train, we got to see him do the fireworks. He brought out the pen and pad. He was like, oh, love is mischief. I absolutely love that scene. And then this piece of building falls, and Loki is able to use some form, I won't say it's telekinesis, but he uses some form of magic to push the debris back towards where it came from. Absolutely love that. Did not see that coming. And again, go ahead, Steve.
That's where my theory came into place. So I remember I watched all 3 episodes again before I came on today. And when I watched it, remember in the first episode, he looks at the Infinity Stones and he says, yeah, we got a whole bunch of them. He got a drawer. He picks up the Time Stone and he never sits it down. He never sits it down.
That's where I was going with this.
So you think he was rewinding time?
We never seen Loki use a power like that.
Because mind you, it's not like when he pushed it back, it just like it moved back.
Yeah.
In reverse order.
Yeah.
No.
See, the first thing I thought was, does he have some type of, like, temporary time manipulation ability? But that doesn't sound like a Loki magical power. But now that you say that, the only pushback I'll give is that the Infinity Stones work per universe. So it would have to be an Infinity Stone from the correct universe to work. It's like, did Loki just get lucky that he happened to pick up the Time Stone that worked for this universe?
It goes back to what, even though how he figured this out would be phenomenal, but it goes back to what Steve was saying, that, you know, it doesn't seem like Loki would just make a mistake to go to this realm.
And then he broke it. He breaks it when he gets off the like, that just doesn't feel right. Like,
it doesn't make sense that it broke. It's like, first of all, you used magic to hide it. So how did it get broken? Are you just fucking with Sylvie?
It just doesn't sit right with me, because the Loki we know is not like that.
Here's the other thing too, right? What if it actually is broken, but he's counting on all of the information that Mobius now knows of how Sylvie's been hiding, and he's going to use that knowledge to figure out that they're on Lamentis 1, and Mobius will come to save them.
I was thinking that he thought he was going to get there in time to the plane, and they were just going to escape. And now,
I don't know.
because at the very end, he does look like, damn, we didn't make it. So I was thinking that he thought
he's
that
a trickster, man. He has to play the game.
I never thought that they were meant to escape because apocalypses were apocalypses. Like, to circumvent an apocalypse would be game-changing, universal changing for you to stop an apocalyptic event. So I expected them to fail, but I do think either the time stone will come into play, or like you guys mentioned, Mobius will pull up it just in the nick of time. Yeah. Although we'll get into a situation of like, all right, Mobius pulls up, then that means these guys are arrested. And I personally think that we might get some more adventures. But we only have, 3 more episodes left? So
unfortunately.
I don't think that Mobius shows up because in episode 2, she messed up the timeline. It made it go crazy. So there's no way to know where they are, in a sense. That's why I'm curious to how it will happen. It's just like, because there's no temporal energy that occurs, you know?
Right. Which is why he knows that they would be hiding out in an apocalyptic event. But it's which one, because there's thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, and she messed up the timeline when she blew up everything. So when all the TVA went crazy when the cameras, when the different timelines.
Unless using the time stone probably created some temporal energy signals.
Could. Is
that a possibility?
Definitely could.
It is definitely a possibility.
And that's Loki basically signaling to Mobius like, hey, I'm here.
Because the Infinity Stones give off all types of energy and radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do know in that interview that you were talking about, JB, Tom Hiddleston does say his favorite episode is episode 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering what's going to happen. And then I did cheat a little bit. I went on IMDb to look up a cast member, Richard Grant. And if you guys know Richard Grant, he's an older person or whatever, but they haven't clarified who he is. But when I was reading that run of the Thor run that I was reading that I screenshot to you guys, there's an older version of Loki that is out there. And I'm thinking Richard Grant is going to be an older version of Loki somewhere. And I think he's going to come into play because he's credited on IMDb for 3 episodes.
What if an older Loki variant is the one that ends up saving him?
That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm thinking.
We are 1,000% going to get more Loki variants. We're going to see them, right? Like, I feel like that opening graphic of Loki constantly switching the logos, that's an Easter egg to show us that we're going to get different variants of Loki. But how many are we going to see? You know what I mean? Like, could it be, like you're saying, Steve, could it be an older version of Loki that pops up and like you guys were saying, potentially saves them from this planet? Right, and then we have 3 Lokis. Like, it's just like, whoa, like, this show is doing so much. Like, they're doing such an incredible job.
Yeah, because in the comic, the older version of Loki is playing, like, basically he played Lady Loki the entire time. So I'm wondering if the older version somehow is going to be like, kind of like, he's not going to say it, but he's like, I know you're playing her. That's why I'm thinking, like, all this stuff that's going on is just it's out of place with Loki. He's acting drunk. He went to the worst quote unquote timeline. He broke the device. I'm like, something just doesn't seem right. So in that comic that I did read, that older version was like, you playing her. Well, he was like, I played her a long time ago. So I'm wondering if that's what's going on and they're going to tie that in.
That'll be interesting, dude. It'll be really interesting because like everyone's saying in chat, like you guys have been saying, Loki would not be able to just get drunk off of a couple glasses of champagne, dude.
It's
like
not.
even in Age of Ultron, Thor had special Asgardian liquor, right? And it still couldn't even do anything to him. Him and Loki are virtually the same age, right? They're like over 1,500 years old. So it's like, I doubt it. I doubt he was actually drunk. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to see how it all plays out. How the ultimate trickster pulled off this great trick. So it's like the final scene that we see. Loki and Sylvie are constantly helping each other, running towards the Ark. The entire moon is in absolute disarray. Only the rich are getting onto the Arks. And then it blows up, right? We see a piece of the planet fall directly onto the Ark. It explodes. And Sylvie just walks off. It's like, well, shit. Like, what happens now? And then, like I said in the beginning, the episode just ends. I was like, whoa, that was way too quick. And I realized this is actually the shortest episode so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, it's over already. But it was so clean, so concise. The score was really good in this episode. I thought it was very Blade Runner-esque. I don't know if I was the only one that thought about that in certain moments. I thought it was very much like Blade Runner. Like we already talked about, the relationship, the friendship that we've seen between Loki and Sylvie. All of these great moments all came together in this entire episode. There's not like a bunch of different major things that happens, but the things that do happen, it's all very impactful for me. Like Abe was saying, the potential Easter egg for Annihilus in future phases of the MCU. I don't need anything to happen in phase 4 and 5, but once like 7 or 8 happens, like Abe said, it's like, yo, do you remember on Loki, bro?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I absolutely live for those moments, and I thought this was a great episode. It sowed seeds for things to come in episode 4, things to come for the rest of the season. So many questions. We got to see more of Loki's powers. Absolutely love this episode. So I want to know if there was anything else you guys wanted to bring up about the episode. If you don't, I want to get into final thoughts.
No, for me, everything I got excited about, we talked about the Lamentis, the dialogue. So I'm good to go.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. That episode was it was a good episode, but when you watch them all collectively, and especially now that I said that time stone thing, y'all gonna look at that time stone, y'all be like, he didn't sit that shit down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering if he just used sleight of hand real quick and just tucked it away, but you know what I'm saying? But it just was one of those things where it was like, I didn't feel like I was getting anything from this episode. And I was like, let me watch all the episodes and maybe something will happen. And then I started getting on IMDb because I'm curious and looking at the actors. Of course, it doesn't show it shows their real name, but it doesn't show what they're playing or anything like that. So now I'm wondering if I was like, dang, I'm wondering if he's going to be that old man Loki or what's going to go on with that. It's just a lot, man. I'm just curious about a lot of it. Like I said, I didn't know very much about Loki before we started doing this. And now I've been reading different runs, Thor runs and different comic stuff, going on Comics Explained, watching videos and just trying to find as much research as I can to you know what I'm saying, help me try to find Easter eggs in this stuff too. So this has been really dope for me.
Yeah, man. I really think you're onto something, Steve. I really think that Richard Grant being on the show, he can give off such a Loki vibe, right? He's played so many scumbags throughout his career. He would be perfect for an older, seasoned version of Loki that's from a completely different universe that had different experiences with Frigga and Odin and Thor. Dude, really interesting.
One notes the current Loki is Sylvie because Loki's like, oh, I'm the superior one. Sylvie's like, then you have the season Loki. It's like, first of all, none of y'all ain't shit.
I've been there, done that shit.
Yeah, well, this is child's like, y'all really got yourself into this mess? Oh my goodness, you're beneath me.
That would be dope.
And then the other thing too is this show also kind of reminds me of Doctor Who when it comes to certain things. Wouldn't this be amazing? Because, okay, so this is a mild spoiler for you, Steve, because I know you're not here yet. But the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, you get 3 doctors in one episode, right? So it's there's so many references and things that make me think of Doctor Who and Loki. What if we get the 2 young Lokis and then we get the older Loki that also joins them, much like what happens in Doctor Who when we get Tennant and Matt Smith, and then we get the War Doctor that shows up. And then he's like, you stupid little kids. I can't. It's really, really cool if they did something like that. I feel like that would be very, very interesting. But yeah, man, I think we've said it all. I think we've done a really good dissection of this episode. I felt like this episode, like we talked about before, was a lot of fun. This was great character development, great story development, and I can't wait to see what happens in episode 4. So, Steve, where can the people find you online?
You can find me at Scuba Steve 1428 on all social media, and follow the Inside the Mind of a Blerd page, and you can find me that way if you can't find me from the numbers, because I know the numbers probably are hectic. But yeah, Scuba Steve 1428 on social media.
Abe?
Ladies and gentlemen, you know who it is. It's your one of your favorite TL villains. I guess I'll just use this time to acknowledge and to accept my fate, right? One of your favorite TL villains, Prince Issue, Prince ALawal. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch that way, Prince_ALawal. Son of Darkseid, Issue of this. You can find me on Instagram at nightja.usa-made. Honestly, just go to my link tree. So go to my Twitter, click on my link tree. You'll have all my stuff there. Look up the OSEN A podcast. That is my baby. We talk sports, we talk culture, all of that jazz. We basically talk whatever's under the sun. But you will hear us talk sports as well as me being a co-host on Inside the Mind of a Blerd. Please go check that out as well. We did our most recent episode with Concept Moon. Really excited about that interview series that we completed. It was really fun. You can find us on YouTube. Soon enough, we have some stuff cooking up that we're going to be adding to the YouTube page in the next couple of weeks, coming months for sure. Mm-hmm. We have a store. Again, go to the Blerd Mind Pod on Twitter. That's also the same handle on Instagram. Go to our link tree. You'll see the link to our store. Show us some support, some love, buying merch. We're pushing the Sockets agenda thanks to Scuba Steve. And you know, we really appreciate the time here. Did I plug in my Twitch? If I didn't, I'm plugging my Twitch now. Prince_ALawal. I'm streaming tomorrow. I think we're having a D&D session tomorrow on the Anime Lately channel. I have no idea. They'll let me know. I'm ready whenever they are. And again, JB, appreciate you having us. I'm looking forward to all the beautiful magic we'll make moving forward. You know, Steve and I are definitely proud to be here. We love just coming through, repping our respective brands that we have separately and together. You know, Steve and I have a lot of things cooking up behind the scenes. And we're really excited. Thank you all for all those who are tuning in every week. Thank you for showing us love. Thank you for showing us love. You know, I appreciate y'all for sure. It's good to always nerd out.
I'm glad I got Abe on the team because I forgot all that shit. I was all like, yeah, you can find me and follow the page, and that's it.
Yeah. Steve, you already gave your plugs, right?
Oh, yeah, I get
Yeah. So you guys know you can find me all over social media at JB Exclusive. You can also find me all over social media at C4SVillains. If you want to find links to the Patreon, all our social media, the daily, the weekly articles that we write in the world of gaming, movies, anime, TV. You can find all of that at carefulforspoilers.com. Congratulations to the giveaway winner. Can't wait to find out which Static Shock comic you choose. And
she picked one, actually, to discuss it. She picked the original cover.
Okay, is, nice.
This one. Well, let me talk the red light so people see. But this cover.
Yeah, and it's a great cover too.
Yeah, it is a great cover. So actually, because of that, there are 2 covers available. I am debating what to do with them. Might do another giveaway on my Twitch channel, or you know, I'm just gonna randomly give somebody an issue. I like giving gifts for the most part. So we'll see what happens with the other 2 issues because I'm not about to just keep them for myself when I already have my own copy. But appreciate y'all guys. Congratulations to you, JD. It's well deserved. Yeah,
we have a lot more giveaways coming up. Abe and I are going to be talking about a lot of different things that we're going to be doing in the future behind the scenes with Vash and Steve. Steve is working on an Invincible article that we're going to put up on the website in the next couple of days, talking about the differences between like the way that the comic went versus how the first season went on Prime. I'm very, very excited for that. We got some other writers coming on to write some stuff for the team. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. C4S has a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of collabs that we're going to be doing. You already know Abe and Steve, they're going to be here for the next 3 episodes of Loki. After we're done with Loki, we're going to start tackling the DC movies, starting with the Flashpoint Paradox, all the New 52 movies, the Rebirth movies, and then we're going to start getting into the TV shows, Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Static Shock, Batman Beyond.
Look. I will jump off for the Superman Animated Series. I'm down for another rewatch. I actually just finished rewatching it like 2 months ago. I'm down for another one. So let me know.
When you were saying DC movies, I was like, oh man, no. But you were talking about the animated ones. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Look. Everybody knows how much I stand Superman, but you want to know what of my favorite storylines of Superman is? Son of Darkseid.
Yes,
and
sir.
The Superman animated series gave us Son of Darkseid, which they further will allude to and play on in Justice League animated series. So, JB, let me know when it's time for Superman the animated series. Let me know. I'm ready to nerd out and to enjoy my Son of Darkseid. We love that storyline.
Oh yeah, guys, it's gonna be a lot of fun. On those episodes where we're talking about the TV shows, we're pretty much going to break down our favorite episodes, our favorite arcs, and then our overall thoughts of the entire season for each series. So those shows are gonna be a lot of fun. Like, there's a lot of DC animated series, there's a lot of Marvel animated series, so we have literally a shit ton of lit content coming for you guys for the rest of 2021 into 2022. So yeah, stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed, turn on those post notifications, and make sure you're following all of us on Twitter. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the OSNA podcast everywhere you can find podcasts. Same thing with the Inside of the Mind of the Blerd podcast. Make sure you guys are subscribed, support these guys, buy the merch, get some of those socks from Steve.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, but until we review Loki episode 4, and then Vash and I are going to be doing our F9 review, we will see you guys on the next one.
Peace.